Is sunscreen actually safe, or are we slathering on chemicals that do more harm than good? If you've been down a TikTok rabbit hole lately, you've probably seen claims that sunscreen causes cancer, disrupts your hormones, and blocks your body from making essential vitamin D. With all this fear-mongering, it's no wonder people are starting to question everything they thought they knew about sun protection.
In today's episode, we're diving headfirst into the sunscreen debate. We'll unpack what's behind the rising skepticism, break down the difference between mineral and chemical sunscreens, and ask the big question: is sunscreen more dangerous than the sun? You'll hear straight from two board-certified dermatologists who are separating fact from fear and helping you make smart, informed decisions about your skin health.
Welcome to Queen City Skin, the podcast where skincare meets science and confidence is always in style. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Rostan, board-certified dermatologist and founder of Charlotte Skin and Laser.
And I'm Dr. Emily McLean, a board-certified medical dermatologist at Charlotte Skin and Laser. We're here to cut through the noise, from social media myths to marketing hype, and bring you clear, evidence-based advice on caring for your skin at every stage of life.
Whether you're looking for everyday skincare essentials, the truth behind trending treatments, or lifestyle tips to age gracefully, you'll find it here.
Because healthy, beautiful skin isn't about perfection. It's about feeling confident and healthy.
Let's get started. Let's just dive right in. Dr. McLean, why would anyone be afraid to use a sunscreen? How could it possibly be more dangerous than the sun?
Well, I don't know if you've been on social media lately, but,
I'm not known for it.
Yes. Well, I would stay away. If this is something that's going to get your gander up, then just don't even Google or TikTok search. I'm old. But don't look down that rabbit hole, because people are saying all kinds of stuff about how sunscreen causes cancer.
Goodness.
I've never seen any evidence of that in any kind of peer-reviewed, evidence-based study. Have you?
Absolutely not.
But you know what I have seen? We know that the sun and UV damage causes skin cancer.
Every day.
Every day.
And
Every day.
I hear all this stuff about the smallest little chemical causing cancer and this and that. And yet every day in my clinic, I see people coming in as tan, as brown as they can be. I watch them go running at noon, playing tennis at 11 a.m., and in my mind, I think other than cigarette smoke, UV light, sunlight, is the most well-known carcinogen, without a doubt. It causes cancer. Do you agree?
The science is settled on this. I think, there's just kind of a lot of skepticism about experts and science, but this we know. I think everybody in the whole wide world who has a brain should be able to believe the science that UV damage causes skin cancer.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we have decades of data. I mean, even if you just looked at population-based studies from people in Australia, I mean, these things are not just correlative. We know the UV damage is causing.
Down near the equator, they have more skin cancer.
Absolutely.
What do you do if when you hear, I hate this one, I just like a healthy tan? Is there a healthy tan, Dr. McLean?
Only from a bottle.
Absolutely.
No, unfortunately not. And one thing that I've noticed a lot this summer, and I try not to be too much of a school marm when I'm doing my skin cancer screening exams, because I do want people to come back.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I'll say, "Oh, I see we're a little tan today." And then I still have some patients who say, "Oh, thank you."
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then I actually laugh in clinic. I just can't not. And I'm like, okay, I didn't mean it as a compliment. It means that I'm concerned about your skin health. And I have a crystal ball that if this continues, you will have skin cancers down the line if you don't already.
Yeah. I try to rein myself in a little bit. When I have people that look like the Savage Tan, the Hawaiian tropic model from the 1980s advertising, they say, well, I'm using sunblock. And I usually say, well, it's not working. But then I get more gentle with them. They are coming to see me for a cosmetic. And I said, you're just not going to like what this is going to do to your skin in the next 10 years. You're not going to like your arms or your legs, and most certainly not your neck or your face. I also tell them, I'm like, look, I'm just really worried about you. I see a lot of sun damage. And I don't want you to get a skin cancer. We can handle your skin cancer most of the time, unless you get a melanoma. Even that's gotten more treatable. but it's awful. You don't want to get your face cut on. It's just, I love to catch these skin cancers early. And the good news about them is you're not going to have any health consequence from them. But do you really want to sit on a chair and get your face numbed and something cut out? You just don't want it. And I don't want that for you. I want healthy skin for my patients, and I know you want the same.
Absolutely. And I do think that it's a balance, right? I don't want my patients to become hermits where they are afraid of the sun, where they don't go out and exercise or enjoy their tennis game or golf. I want them to do those things, but I want them to do it safely and in a way that they'll be able to do that for decades to come.
For decades. Yeah, and I share with them, I'm outdoors a lot. We have a lake house, and I enjoy going up there. I ride a horse, and I play golf. I really don't go to the pool or walk the dogs, but I choose what time of day I go out.
Right.
For the most part. And I'll share with you guys some photos of me when I do go out, because I'm pretty unmistakable, unmissable. Long sleeves, long pants, and a great big hat. Yes, playing golf and that. In fact, my golf instructor just said to me the other day, because we had like a 6:30 lesson, and I had a skirt out in my closet. And I was like, well, I'll just put this on. So off I go to my lesson at 6:30, and we were in the shade. And after a few minutes, he says, you know what? I'm not sure I've ever seen your legs. And he was right, because I do wear the pants. And for me, it's just a priority protecting my skin. Well, what do you say to the naysayers that tell you, I heard chemical sunblocks are dangerous?
Well, I do understand the fear. Honestly, I think we are all approaching what goes on our skin, what goes in our bodies from a place where we all want to be our healthiest, right? So I think the first thing to do is to acknowledge that they're not crazy for being concerned, especially since they have seen all of the viral social media posts and headlines in the news that are, a lot of times sensationalized. There was a study, I think it came out about 5 years ago, that did show that some of the chemical sunscreen ingredients like avobenzone and oxybenzones are absorbed into the skin and can be found in very small concentrations in the bloodstream. And I can understand why that is
That'd
scary.
be worrisome.
Right. We don't want things in our bloodstream that are unknown, foreign. It just feels icky. So I do understand why people have that concern. However, what I tell them is that, yes, we do know that's true, but we have no evidence that it's harmful in any way. We have been using these ingredients for decades, and there is zero evidence. Zero.
And it's been studied.
Yes, there is zero evidence that these ingredients cause any kind of cancers internally. There is some concern also about endocrine disruption. There's some big corporations out there that are fear-mongering, in my opinion, that scare people away from certain ingredients. And again, at the concentrations that are used on the skin and the concentrations that we've seen in the bloodstream, I am not concerned. And I personally use those products on my own skin and even my children's skin. So I think that is evidence that I'm not worried about it. And that's what I tell my patients too. However, if people are scared from that data, and again, I get it, we have alternatives. They can use kind of the non-chemical or the mineral sunscreens that use zinc and titanium as the UV blockers. So I talk them through it. I acknowledge their fears. I give them my perspective on their fears. But then we also offer alternatives.
Oh, yeah. Or I just say you could go like me.
Yeah.
I'm by no means a hermit. And I love wearing these sun protective shirts. I'd like to say I have dozens. I really have probably more than 50. And they've got this nice mesh on the inside. They keep you cooler, I promise. Everybody looks at me and says, aren't you hot? I'm like, no.
Because the sun's not hitting your skin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nor am I wearing a chemical sunblock, which can actually make you hot.
Yes.
What about vitamin D? I mean, that we might get some pushback. I need my vitamin D. What's the science on that?
So I love vitamin D, and I certainly want my patients to have plenty of it. And frankly, most of us are deficient unless you're supplementing. So we know that even with sun exposure, at least at this, in our current day-to-day lifestyles where most of us are indoors most of the day, you're not getting enough from the sun. So if you test your vitamin D levels, most likely it's going to be on the low end. And sun exposure is not the way to bring it up. It's a cheap well-studied, safe oral supplement, and I take it myself every single day. We know you're not going to get enough from sun exposure, and then there's tons of benefits to vitamin D. So I'm very pro vitamin D. I'm just not pro getting it from the sun.
Absolutely. I feel the same way, and I take vitamin D. I always remember this small study where they took, 17 surfers, and they spent hours, like 6 to 8 hours a day, what the life, surfing in the sun, unprotected. And I think a good 2/3 of them had low vitamin D.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
So even if you're surfing for 6 hours a day, you still need that oral vitamin D.
Well, it turns out the skin's ability to produce vitamin D is actually quite limited. And so we do need to supplement. So please don't think you can correct your vitamin D with sun exposure. And we do want you to have a correct level of vitamin D for sure.
Absolutely. So we've talked about sun protective clothing. You mentioned that you really think about the timing of your outdoor activities, and so do I. So there's this concept of the UV index, which is the time of day where the sun exposure, the UV from the sun is the highest. And that's generally between about 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So another thing that's been on social media recently is that there's a lot of people out there timing their sun exposure to correlate with that peak.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I think you and I would do the opposite. So on my summer vacations, if I'm in a sunny location, I like to go out early and I like to go out late. And if I am out throughout the day, which I often am, I'm wearing a sun shirt. And not only, it's just easier. It's so much easier.
Totally.
Do I acknowledge that it's a pain to reapply your sunscreen every 90 minutes? Of course. And nobody wants to be that person it's just awkward. So wear your shirt.
Wear your shirt. It's easy. I find it. Once I started wearing them, I didn't go back.
Right.
If somebody wants to go out in the boat, I'm like, this is easy. Tights, shirt, hat, I'm ready.
I haven't embraced the tights yet.
I know. They're great. Swim tights are great. I promise. They're hard to find now. I have some great ones from Carve, C-A-R-V, and I think Mott 50, but they kind of join companies, but I don't think they're making the tights. Apparently they didn't catch on, just really dorks like me, but they look I think they look fashionable. What do you tell people that say, I just can't wear sunblock every day. It makes my skin feel bad. I mean, do you hear that? I think I hear it.
I hear it all the time, especially in my patients who have acne and rosacea. And I think that's where we really sit down and listen. What have you tried? What hasn't worked? Because I think it just takes some trial and error. There is a product out there that will work. So you really have to look at how the sunscreen is formulated. And I've got some products here that we love here. The Elta MD UV Clear. I believe this is our best-selling sunscreen, right? And I think for a reason. So this was formulated specifically for people who are prone to breakouts. So a lot of people can tolerate this one without it making their skin worse. And it even, Elta just came out recently with a green sunscreen. And this is using the color wheel theory, if you've ever seen that, where green and red cancel each other out. So you're not going to end up looking like a character from Wicked, but you will look a little less red with this one. So
great for rosacea.
Fantastic.
Post-procedure and rosacea.
Absolutely. I think this has been flying off the shelves too.
Right. And we have Daily, Elta Daily, and this is moisturizing. It's lovely. I don't use it all the time because I usually use a kind of makeup tint on the day, but I do use it in the winter if I'm going out. But it's so nice. They have a tinted one, but I end up looking orange because I love it so much. I put on gobs. It's lovely, moisturizing. You can find a sunblock that works for you, and let's keep trying. The other new one is the sheer. I think looks like I didn't bring it out. That's flying off the shelf. Again, finding your home with sunblock. This one's very light. It feels like nothing's on. So please keep trying if you feel like, I just don't like these sunblocks. You will find one that works for you. You can find a tinted sunblock, which we often recommend because if you have a pigment disorder in your skin, whether it be melasma or some other type of pigment, we will recommend that tint to block computer light, visible light, triggers, and we even recommend it in darker skin types.
Absolutely.
I can't treat your pigment in darker skin types without a tinted sunblock. And the good news for the darker skin types, the companies have responded. They're making great products with darker tints that we can recommend.
Absolutely. At all price points now as well.
Totally.
So we have some really wonderful tinted sunscreens here for all skin tones, but there are also some decent products made by Neutrogena, La Roche-Posay that are available over the counter. And like you said, it's actually a pretty common thing that we see here in our clinic as darker skin patients coming in with complaints of hyperpigmentation of one sort or the other. And sunscreen with a tint every day, even if you're not outside, is always going to be part of our treatment recommendation protocol.
Well, it looks bright in here, but it's actually quite cloudy and dreary and raining out. But I have my sunblock on, and I recommend it for all of you as well. Even if you just think you're a cubicle office worker, there is evidence that light from the computer causes oxidative injury. It's not going to cause cancer. Don't worry. Your computer's not giving you cancer. But it's nice to block that for an anti-aging.
Absolutely. So one thing, again, that's out in social media land is that sun cancer incidence rates are rising. If sunscreen use is also rising, how do you reconcile that? How do you reassure patients about
that? Well, that is I think they're unrelated. And I think it has to do with more confidence going out in the sun without the proper protection. Do you educate your patients on how to use a sunblock? That takes a while and it's hard. You mentioned earlier putting it on, and it really is an act. It's not a run out the door and as you're leaving. It is part of getting dressed in the morning if you're going to have a day at the beach where you're in your bathroom in front of the mirror and putting it on very well. Dr. McLean has one on her Instagram.
It's very awkward. I'm in my bathroom.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And that's how you put on sunblocks. You have to put it on correctly. You actually have to put on a lot. And then, unfortunately, you have to reapply.
You do. And the other thing is that for the non-mineral, the chemical-based sunscreens, it does take some time for them to be effective. So that's another reason I like to apply it before I leave the house. It takes about 20, 30 minutes for it to be effective. Now, the ones that are predominantly zinc or titanium are effective immediately.
That's a bonus if you've forgotten.
Yep. So another thing that I have started to recommend as part of just a complete sun protection package are oral polypodium leukotomas supplements. If you're one of my patients, I hope you know this about me. I don't recommend supplements lightly. Really, the two that I'm most passionate about are vitamin D. But I do really like the polypodium leukotomas supplements. It is a botanical. It's derived from the fern plant and actually has really robust data behind it that shows that it helps your body process UV light from the sun to cause less damage to the skin. So it's basically harder to get sunburned if you have taken the polypodium supplement orally. And we know that it's safe. There are a couple brands out there that produce it. HelioCare is one. I also really like the Interglow Soul Defense. It's a gummy that tastes really good.
That's why she likes it.
I know. It tastes good, right? Who doesn't love a gummy? But I even give this to my children. They've studied it, and it's safe in kids as well. So
I think that's high praise for that product. Yeah.
Yep. So I love it. I have started recommending it to my melasma patients as well. Because
me too. There is new evidence that it helps with melasma and those pigment disorders. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm actually so glad I learned that. That harkens back to what we do all the time, which is ongoing learning and changing, adding to what we recommend, keeping up with the science, such as the new polypodium. That's the cutting edge dermatology, and that's where you should be getting your sound advice on sun protection and staying out of the sun. Again, don't be a hermit. I'm out there all the time.
Yeah.
But I just protect very well.
My challenge to myself is if I'm going to the beach for a week, I always try to see if I can come back without even a watch tan. Oh. And even with all of the sunscreen, sun shirts, et cetera, I used to still get a watch tan. But when I added this, I don't even get a watch tan anymore. Yeah. It really, really does make a difference.
I can usually give a demonstration on my hands. There's a cutoff at my wrist from the shirt and at my ankle for the pants.
Dr. Rostan, my patients often ask me, should I use a mineral or a chemical sunscreen? What do you say? What do you think?
I have taken your advice on that, and the best sunscreen is the one that you use, period, right? And use it properly. The mineral sunblocks are my preferred. I typically will use a sunblock with zinc, but it has some chemical in it. So I've got the zinc and it's got a little bit of chemical. The Elta Sport is one of my favorites. It is water resistant. We still say waterproof, but we're not supposed to. It's water resistant. It won't run in eyes, but this is a zinc sunblock with a little bit of chemical. But I know the chemical part is minimal because the zinc is doing the heavy work. I will use a spray chemical sunblock on my feet and sometimes my hands just for ease of getting it on. So again, I think I advise my patients, find the sunblock you're going to use. We have determined that the chemical sunblocks, there's no evidence that they're dangerous. If you are worried about degradation of the reef, if you're going down snorkeling, wear clothes. It's easy. Wear, a skin, they call them, in surfing and in diving. It's not a wetsuit, but it's a skin, and they're sun protective. Just put that on, and boom, you've saved a reef, apparently. However, I will say that evidence is controversial because it was done in a lab, and I think even the data has been questioned in how they reported it. So I have not taken a deep dive on that, but I have read some editorials that's been questioned. So use the sunblock that fits your lifestyle. Pay attention to how to put it on. Take your time to put it on. And I would just reassure listeners that there's been no evidence that these chemicals are harmful to your health at all. Is that how you advise people as well?
Correct. Another question that I get sometimes about the chemical sunscreens is, a lot of our patients are quite educated and they're very savvy, and a lot of them travel quite often. And some of my patients have asked, but aren't European or Korean sunscreens better? And what I say to that is maybe. Actually, the FDA considers sunscreen ingredients over-the-counter drugs, and so they're regulated as such, which is a good thing, right? That means that we're using things that are effective and safe. However, the FDA is about 20 years behind some other parts of the world in approving some of the newer, more broad spectrum chemical sunscreen filters like Tenazorb or Mesoxyl.
Yeah, Mesoxyl.
Yeah, am I saying that correctly? So there's a few filters that are available overseas that may be superior to what we have here. That does not mean what we have here is not good.
Correct. And the
reason I still use them.
The reason they're considered superior is when we talk about the spectrum of blockage. UV light is a spectrum of light. And some of the far-reaching wavelengths of light, the numbers are not well covered with our chemical sunblocks, where they are with the one in Europe. So when you hear Europeans have better sunblocks, it's really just that coverage of a narrow window, which might be nice and important for some patients. So if you're traveling to Europe, you can pick some up. I remember quite a push, I guess 15 years ago, to get the FDA to approve these, and it just never happened. It was just constant headlines about it, and then it just disappeared. Do you remember that push? Well, I think you were in dermatology then.
Yeah, I don't think I was a dermatologist then, so I don't know that I remember it in detail, but I will say there's another push right now, and if anybody's interested, there is a petition going around online right now for the FDA to reevaluate some of these UV blockers.
That would be fantastic.
We can post that maybe with this episode.
You know, what you will find fun in this podcast is I have uncanny ways of dating myself. So there you go.
What was I doing 15 years ago? I was just starting medical school.
How about that?
Yeah.
Was there anything else you'd like to add to our discussion, Dr. McLean? I think we haven't talked about the homemade sunblocks, but that should be a really quick discussion, I think.
It's a no.
Don't do it. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Okay,
Yeah.
we solved that one. Well, thank you, everyone, for participating in our somewhat deep dive on sunblock. We welcome your comments and any questions you have. We will answer them the best we can, and if there's more interest in it, we could dig even deeper on another podcast.
We love talking sunscreen.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. McLean.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Queen City Skin with Dr. Elizabeth Rostan and Dr. Emily McLean.
We hope you're walking away with tips and insights you can trust, and maybe a little extra confidence too.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss a dose of skincare wisdom.
And if you have questions you'd like us to cover, connect with us at Charlotte Skin and Laser or find us on Instagram at Charlotte Skin and Laser.
Here's to healthy skin and feeling your best. We'll see you next time.